My name card was on the farthest step of the church. We didn't invite her. She just showed up, my sister told the groom. I was homeless. I had slept in my car to attend her wedding. They laughed at my dress. So I left her a gift she'll never forget. Karma's wearing white now. I'm Raven Macklin, 42, and I've never told anyone this story until now. I guess part of me didn't want to be that person, the one who holds on to grudges like family heirlooms. But when your own sister invites the dog groomer and the mailman to her wedding but not you, well, maybe some stories deserve to be told. I grew up in upstate New York, in a worn-down yellow house on Standish Street in Plattsburgh. One bathroom, 4 kids, and a mom who could slice you in half with a look. Dad left before I turned 11, just walked out one night and never came back. No note, no call. I remember sitting on the front steps for hours waiting for the sound of his engine. It never came. My siblings dealt with it in their own ways. Keel, the oldest, drank and pretended he didn't care. Tori, my younger brother, moved to Florida the second he could and married into a new life. And then there was Peyton, the youngest. Peyton with the sparkly shoes, the pageant ribbons, the endless compliments from Mom. She's going to be somebody, Mom always said. No one ever said that about me. I was the one who painted on the porch, who helped Keel get through his panic attacks, who stayed behind when Mom got sick. I was the one who gave Peyton money during her lost years in her 20s when she couldn't hold down a job. I was the one she forgot to invite to her wedding. Well, forgot might be generous. I found out about it from Keel. He texted me, just one line, no punctuation, "Are you going to Peyton's wedding?" I stared at the message for 10 minutes before I replied, "What wedding?" No answer. No follow-up. I checked social media, scrolled through Peyton's Instagram. Pictures of champagne tastings, dress fittings, bachelorette parties in Napa. The whole damn production. Hundreds of likes. Dozens of comments. Not a single mention to me. No invite. No heads up. Just silence. I'd lost my job about a year prior. The school where I taught art laid off half the staff, and I never quite bounced back. It was humiliating. I went from having a tiny apartment and full health insurance to living out of my 2008 Honda CR-V parked behind a diner on Route 22. It smelled like spilled coffee and anxiety. But when I saw those photos, the pit in my stomach turned into something sharper. I wasn't just sad anymore, I was furious. Still, I convinced myself to be a bigger person. I told myself maybe it was a mistake. Maybe she had meant to send an invite and it got lost. Maybe I didn't need to be invited to show up. I could still support her, right? I spent the last of my savings on gas to drive down to Montauk. I parked a mile away from the surf lodge, where the wedding was held, fancy beachfront property with string lights and white sand and the kind of landscaping you only see in magazines. I brushed my teeth in the gas station bathroom. I used the hand dryer to smooth out my navy blue dress, the same one I'd worn to a job interview 2 years before. A little faded. A little wrinkled. But it was clean. I showed up early, thinking maybe I could blend in with the crowd. I'd brought a small gift, a watercolor I had painted of the house we grew up in. I had it framed in a $10 frame I found at Goodwill. When I got there, the place cards were set up on a white linen-covered table near the entrance. Fancy calligraphy, gold leaf trim. But mine? My name card was on the farthest step of the church. No gold. No calligraphy. Just a printed label, taped to cardstock. It looked like an afterthought. Like a mistake someone regretted but didn't care enough to fix. I stood there holding it in my hand when I heard her voice. "She just showed up," Peyton said, her voice light and casual like she was talking about a bug in the house. She was standing next to Lachlan, her fiancé, a tall guy with slicked back hair and the permanent smirk of someone who never had to do their own taxes. "We didn't invite her," she added. And they both laughed. I froze. I don't remember walking away, but somehow, I ended up back at my car, sitting in the front seat with the engine off and my hands shaking on my lap. I hadn't eaten all day. My head throbbed. I just sat there, staring through the windshield as the guests trickled in, perfect hair, designer clothes, custom shoes. I was nothing to them. They didn't even see me. And then something inside me just flipped. It was like someone pulled the emergency brake in my chest. I wasn't sad anymore. I was done. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in the backseat of my Honda with my knees tucked against my chest, wrapped in the same thrift store shawl I'd brought for the wedding. It was supposed to be chilly because of the water. Instead, the cold came from the inside out. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Peyton laughing. I heard the casual cruelty in her voice. The kind that stings more than screaming ever could. They laughed at me. At my dress. At the fact that I came. After everything I did for her. After all the nights she cried on my couch, begging me for rent money or advice or help applying for jobs she wouldn't keep. And the worst part? I came to that wedding still believing that maybe there was a chance, just a chance, she'd be happy to see me. She wasn't. At some point during the night, I opened my glove compartment and pulled out an old manila envelope I'd kept buried for years. Inside were documents from 2019. When Peyton called me in tears because her credit was shot, and she couldn't get a loan on her own. She needed $15,000, she said. She was going to launch her own beauty line. Organic skincare, she called it, all natural, all woman-owned. She had the branding, the labels, the Instagram handle. She just didn't have the money. I co-signed a personal loan for her because I was stupid. Because I believed in her. Because I was her sister. She promised to make payments. She made 2. Then she ghosted the debt, and me. The collection notices started piling up at my address 6 months later. That loan destroyed my credit. I couldn't even qualify for a new apartment after that. I slept on a friend's couch for a month, then in my car. I gave up trying to chase her down about it. She said, "You shouldn't have helped me if you couldn't afford to." I didn't say anything then. But I held on to every receipt. By morning, the plan had formed. I drove to the Montauk Library when they opened at 9 a.m. Sharp little building, old brick with salt air windows and a sea-weathered flag out front. It was nearly empty, just a couple of retirees reading the paper and one librarian at the front desk who gave me a look when I walked in wearing yesterday's dress. I printed out everything. The loan agreement. The payment history. Bank transfers. Texts where she promised to pay me back. Even Instagram screenshots of her on vacation in Tulum the same month I had to skip buying groceries. I made 10 packets. Stapled. Labeled. Clean. Then I drove back to the surf lodge. It was brunch day, day after celebration, according to the signboard out front. Guests in pastel linen wandered the open courtyard sipping mimosas and congratulating themselves. The groom's mother was taking selfies with a local influencer. Peyton was already tipsy, holding a tiny dog that probably cost more than my car. I walked in slowly. Calm. My hands weren't shaking this time. No one stopped me. Of course they didn't. Who would question a middle-aged woman holding wedding gifts in a boutique beach resort? I could have been an aunt, a friend, a florist. I found Lachlan first. He was talking to his father, glass in hand. I walked up, smiled, and handed him a thick envelope. "This is for you," I said softly. He opened it right there. The moment his eyes hit the second page, his face dropped like a stone in water. He blinked. Flipped through the packet. Stopped at the photo of Peyton posing on a beach with the caption, "Manifesting Abundance." His father looked over his shoulder. Quietly. Peyton was across the patio, still laughing. Her eyes hadn't found me yet. I handed out the rest like wedding favors. One to her boss. One to her new mother-in-law. One to the maid of honor. Even slipped one to the photographer, just for good measure. By the time Peyton saw me, half the party had gone quiet. "Raven," she said, eyes narrowing. "What the hell are you doing?" "Just returning the favor," I said. "You gave me memories I'll never forget. I thought I'd give you something too." Lachlan was already walking toward her, envelope in hand. "Is this true?" Her mouth opened, closed. "That's taken out of context. She co-signed your loan," he said. "You stuck her with it while you were buying designer handbags and lying about your job?" "I told you I was going through stuff back then. You told me you didn't have siblings," he said. That was the first punch to the gut. She hadn't just forgotten me. She erased me. People were watching now. No one stepped in. No one stopped me. Even Mom just stood near the omelet station with her hand covering her mouth. It was surreal. And I didn't stay long. I didn't need to. The damage was done. I turned and walked out with my head high for the first time in years. I drove out of Montauk with the windows down. The ocean breeze rolled through my hair, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel invisible. I didn't even feel vengeful anymore. What I felt was a strange kind of stillness. The kind that comes when a wound finally scabs over. Not healed, but sealed enough to stop the bleeding. I didn't go back to Plattsburgh. I kept driving west until I reached Poughkeepsie. I had no plan. No place to stay. But I remembered a little cafe downtown that used to hang student artwork on the walls. I'd visited it years ago during a teacher's workshop. Something about the place stuck with me. I slept in the car that night, parked on a side street near the river. The next morning, I found a local community college that had a flyer posted outside its main building: adjunct art instructor needed, inquire within. I walked in wearing the same dress. I didn't even try to pretend my resume was up to date. I was honest. I told the department head, a wiry man with a paint-streaked hoodie and kind eyes, that I used to teach middle school art for 15 years. That I'd fallen on hard times. That I was trying to rebuild. He asked me one question: do you still love teaching? I said yes. He gave me 2 classes. A week passed. Then 2. No one from my family called. Not Mom. Not Keel. Certainly not Peyton. I wasn't surprised. Peyton had always been the type to run when things got uncomfortable. When we were kids, she once told a neighbor that she was adopted because she didn't want anyone to know we were related. I laughed at the time. But it wasn't funny now. Then, one night, Keel called. I let it go to voicemail. He called again the next day. Then again. On the 3rd try, I picked up. Hey, he said. No preamble. I didn't say anything. You good? He asked. I still didn't speak. I waited. He sighed. I'm not calling to defend her. Then why are you calling? Because I've never seen anything like it. Lachlan left. I blinked. What? Packed up. Moved out of their apartment in Soho. Cut her off. Froze the joint accounts. You know he was footing most of her lifestyle? I didn't. But I wasn't surprised. She told everyone you photoshopped the documents, he added. I snorted. Of course she did. No one believes her, Ray. There was a long pause on the line. I could hear him fidgeting, maybe lighting a cigarette. I just wanted to say. I should have told you. About the wedding. I was a coward. I didn't know she hadn't invited you until I saw your name wasn't on the list. Then I stayed quiet. I closed my eyes. I appreciate you saying that, I told him. But I'm done waiting for our family to treat me like a person. You always were the best of us, he said quietly. Then why was I always treated like the worst? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. Over the next few months, I built a new rhythm. I rented a room above a bakery. It was small, just enough space for a bed and a makeshift art table, but it smelled like sugar in the mornings and yeast in the evenings, and the bakery owner, Mrs. Del Vecchio, gave me leftover croissants when she closed up shop. I picked up more classes. Taught Saturday workshops for kids. Sold a few paintings online. Nothing glamorous, but honest. Mine. Then one afternoon in late November, I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. It was a single line: you ruined my life. I stared at it for a long time. No name, but I didn't need one. I didn't reply. What was there to say? I didn't ruin Peyton's life. I revealed it. What she did with the truth was her business. But the thing that caught me off guard wasn't that message. It was what came 2 weeks later. A small, ivory envelope in my mailbox. No return address. No postmark. Inside was a white card. Handwritten. I deserved it. I'm sorry. Still no name. But I knew the handwriting. She used to write her lowercase y with a wide, open tail. She learned that in 6th grade when she wanted her penmanship to look like the girls in teen magazines. It was Peyton. My fingers trembled holding the card. Not from rage. Not from sadness. From the weight of recognition. She finally saw me. But seeing someone doesn't fix the past. It doesn't repay debts. It doesn't heal years of being pushed aside like an afterthought. I kept the card in a drawer for a few days. Then I burned it in the bakery's backyard fire pit. Mrs. Delvecchio watched me from the kitchen window and said nothing. Just nodded when I walked back inside, smelling faintly of smoke. "I guess some things are better than ash," she said. She wasn't wrong. Winter came fast in Poughkeepsie. Snow crusted along the sidewalks, and the bakery below me started selling more hot cider than croissants. I wore my thrifted coat every day and walked with my shoulders a little higher than before. My students at the community college brought life back into me, young kids with messy thoughts and honest questions, painting their way through breakups, identity crises, and dreams they were still brave enough to say out loud. I was starting to forget about Peyton. Or maybe not forget, just place her in a quieter part of my mind. Like a chapter you don't reread, but don't tear out either. Then I got a phone call that stirred the dust. A woman named Bridget Halvorson called from a boutique PR firm in Manhattan. Her voice was clipped and professional. "I came across your name through a friend at SUNY New Paltz. She said you used to run community-based art installations?" "I did," I said slowly. "We're looking for a lead artist for an upcoming project. Charity-based, high visibility. Manhattan-based, but they're emphasizing community storytelling. Would you be interested in coming down for a meeting?" I almost laughed. I thought it was a scam at first. But when I Googled her and the company, it was real. A high-end agency, working with nonprofit arts grants. She mentioned something about the Stories Through Glass initiative, a traveling mural project on mental health and identity. They wanted me to lead the first installation in Brooklyn. I borrowed a blazer, cleaned up my shoes, and took the train down the next weekend. The meeting went well. They liked me. They offered me the job on the spot. Contracted. Modest pay, but huge exposure and a resume changer. There was just one catch. The installation would be sponsored by Bellavana Wines, Peyton's company. She didn't own it, but she still worked there, at least, according to LinkedIn. Marketing manager. And according to the campaign notes, she'd be part of the brand integration team. I stared at the PDF for a long time. The old me would have walked away. Quietly declined. Avoided the drama. But the raven who slept in her car outside the surf lodge? She was done hiding. So I signed the contract. The day of the kickoff event, I wore black, simple slacks, a crisp blouse, and one of my handmade necklaces, a silver pendant in the shape of a house on fire. Only 3 people would ever understand the meaning. The mural was already up, spanning a full block in Williamsburg, hundreds of fragments of painted glass embedded in plaster, forming faces of people from all walks of life. It shimmered in the winter sun, alive and fractured and whole all at once. People gathered. Reporters. Local artists. Executives. Peyton arrived fashionably late, as always. Wearing a cream wool coat, red lipstick, her hair in loose waves like she was born with good lighting. She didn't recognize me at first. Not until I walked up to the podium and took the mic. "Thank you all for coming," I said. "My name is Raven Macklin, and I'm the lead artist on Stories Through Glass, an installation about visibility, memory, and reclaiming space." Her face changed in real time, shock, confusion, and finally, dread. I kept it professional. Poised. Graceful. No digs. No dramatics. But the final slide of the presentation featured a photo of a home. Our childhood house. The little yellow one on Standish Street, with chipped paint and wild sunflowers out front. I didn't say what it was. I didn't have to. People whispered. Her coworkers leaned in. The dots connected on their own. And then I read the artist's statement. "This piece reflects the layered nature of family, what is visible, what is hidden, and what is remembered differently depending on where you stood in the house. Some of us lived in the attic of expectations. Others in the basement of silence. This is for the ones who showed up, even when they weren't invited." Applause. Cameras flashed. And Peyton? She had to smile through it. She had to shake my hand for the photo op, grip stiff, eyes hollow. Her boss was standing nearby. Watching. Judging. Curious. That was the moment. That was the real revenge. Not the envelope. Not the documents. Not even the wedding fallout. It was this. Me on a platform, being seen, Her having to pretend we were close, connected, that she respected me. That she hadn't once laughed at my dress while I sat in a freezing car just to be near the family that discarded me. She had to swallow it. In heels. In public. And I smiled for every picture. Later that night, I got an email from someone on her team. Just wanted to say your presentation today was beautiful. So powerful. Peyton mentioned you were her sister, can't believe she never told us more about you. You're incredibly talented. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The next day, I started getting inquiries for commissions. One from a small museum in Albany. Another from a gallery in Boston. Even a teaching offer in Portland. Peyton faded into the background after that. She didn't get fired. She didn't get exposed. She just had to live with the fact that every person at her job now saw me as the sister worth knowing. She couldn't delete me this time. She couldn't explain it to me away. Her silence became a spotlight. And I stepped into it. That's the story. No screaming match. No screaming headlines. No dramatic ending. Just a quiet reckoning. The kind you don't see coming until you're already living it. Because karma doesn't always come in fury. Sometimes? She arrives in heels. Wearing black. Smiling. And holding a mic.